Morning, Trainiacs. As a lot of you know, I am a devoted Zwifter. By the way, go follow me. First name is T, last name is Triathlon Taren. But doesn't mean I can't go and date other apps. I was having a chat the other day with the guy who started an app called Fulgaz, which is video. It's like actual video Zwift. So they go and they take video and stabilize the footage and then overlay all this data so that as you're riding on it, just like on Zwift, you get differences in the terrain. And having just built that app himself, going through all of the issues that he went through, learning all the lessons that us new online entrepreneurs go through, unfortunately, he had a little bit of advice about how to develop the Team Trainiac website. It was very well founded, helped me out a lot, and I figured, you know what, hey, this guy's helping me out, why don't I try out Fulgaz? Sounds cool. And Mike was saying, Mike's his name, that they have optimized Fulgaz really, really well for the Wahoo Kickr and the Wahoo Kickr Climb. So we're gonna go for a ride on Fulgaz with the Wahoo Kickr, the Wahoo Kickr Climb. Give you my impressions. So what Mike was telling me, and I think I've got this right, is that they have actually set up the way that Fulgaz communicates with the Wahoo setup in such a way that the Kickr gets the information from Fulgaz a second earlier than hitting a gradient change, and the Climb gets it, I think, 2 seconds earlier, and that is what actually gives you a more realistic feel. Even though this is changing earlier than that, I think this needs more time to change, and that catches up like right away. Next, he said that if you're just setting up Fulgaz for the first time and you'd previously been set up with your Wahoo on Zwift, you have to wake up your Kickr and all of the peripherals attached to it, disconnect it from Zwift, and then basically from scratch reconnect it to Fulgaz, because Wahoo does not play nice connected to multiple devices at a time. I could have told you that. I learned that one the hard way. Then he said that the absolute best way to experience Fulgaz is with one of the last 2 generation Apple TVs. I don't have that. I've got an Apple TV 2. So in that case, the best way to experience it is to download whatever ride you want to do to the phone and then AirPlay it to your Apple TV. And the reason for actually downloading the ride and not just streaming the ride is because the ride is such high quality 4K footage, so that it can be really immersive. If you download it, it's going to take that streaming of that footage out of the equation, saving more bandwidth for the actual AirPlay. And they've got some of the most iconic rides around. So for example, today, we're gonna give a shot to the Kona Ironman complete course. Have you heard about that race? I'm not gonna do the complete course. Let's give it a shot. Ha! It's Transition. I know that restaurant. I don't care what y'all say. Living that hard SP2 life. Queen K, I like it. First impressions of Fulgaz. Well, for the first 10 minutes, rough. Very rough. What I was finding was that even though I downloaded the course, the phone talking to Apple TV was very skippy, really skippy. So what they say is there are a few different options. Number one, Fulgaz is only the second indoor riding app, second only to Zwift, to have an Apple TV app. You need a recent Apple TV, which has the addition of apps to it. But what you have in that case is that I think the Apple TV only allows 3 different Bluetooth pairings, one of which is already the remote, second of which is your trainer. So that leaves the third as either your cadence or your heart rate, one or the other. So I think the best option is that you get yourself a recent Apple phone, an iPhone 8 or newer, because then you've got wireless charging, which you can put your phone on, and then you can have it charged, do a really long ride, because these types of apps just chew through battery life on a phone. In addition to that, all of the earlier communications that they make with the climb are kind of noticeable. It creates a really nice ride experience. But what I found was that because their incline is going in increments of tenths of a degree, there were more subtle movements. And in Zwift, it's a very subtle, gradual movement, whereas this is more. In the end, when I figured it out and the phone caught up and it rolled really nicely, it was a very nice ride. A few things to know. Number one, no Android. I actually find that I think somewhere around 80 some or more % of my interaction with followers is Apple. So kind of just makes sense when you're a small team like Fulgaz and not the hundreds of people that Zwift has with $45 million in funding, that you got to focus on what the masses are consuming. Also, when I started riding, I went with reactive speed. That's like Zwift, where you start and slow down and speed up. The video slows down and speeds up with you, just like Zwift. I didn't like that because as you're slowing down, all of a sudden the frame rate of the video got choppy and cars were kind of going in slow motion. So even though it's in theory more realistic, it wasn't very realistic. When you're going in steady speed, it's just going at the rate that the rider actually filmed the video in. And that's okay, but your distance is going to be a little off because the distance is going to be the distance that the rider went in the time that you rode. But the actual gradient, the resistance of the smart trainer is all going off of the actual course and your inputs. So it's still really good. It's just that there's just a bit of a mismatch. And then because it's not a controlled world like Zwift, you do have real world things happen to the footage. You stop at a stoplight, even if you're still pedaling, it either stops or it cuts and then shoots you forward. There are also moments when you can tell because they had a GoPro at 4K filming all of this. There are times when in a long ride like this, the footage just stopped because I'm sure they had to change an SD card. And the video is just a little bit dark in some areas because it's filmed with a GoPro and it's filmed in real light settings. But I think about why people would use Zwift versus using this. I think if you are training for a specific course, like if I were to qualify for Ironman Kona, I would want to do a ton of rides on this course so I can get familiar with it. And then when I get there, it's not mentally new to go through all of the different areas of the ride. I can easily break up the race into different sections because I know all of the different sections. As of the end of August, this was, I think, 364 courses, and they're building more every single week because what they do is they allow people to shoot their own rides and upload it to the system, and then Fulgaz will work on it. So I think that as more triathletes get on it, as they start choosing the more popular courses, the Lake Placids of the world, the Ironman Oceanside, the Challenge Roths of the world, hopefully they can pull more triathletes in, because I know that it would be very mentally sharpening to be able to go and ride the actual course over and over and over with the undulation And basically, by the time you get there, it's your home course and you got home course advantage. But because it's a small company, some of the aspects of the polish of Zwift aren't going to be there. But in that case, that's not what you're paying for. You're paying for the ability to ride the actual course that you are going to be racing on. So I'm cool with it. So there you go, Trainiacs. That's Fulgaz versus Zwift. They each have their purpose, and now you know the purpose of Fulgaz. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below, and if you are subscribed, go give Fulgaz a try.